scary.
I am not.
Good Dwayne. Could be. Yes, ma'am.
I'm not anything tonight. That's the problem. I'm just curious. I want to know what's going on. Watching the live stream is fun.
You just make it feel so good.
Yeah. Well, I have something.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah, someone in the office, in the audience.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
That was huge.
I sent everything that you wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, for everyone.
No,
I sent it all to Todd. John. And then he will send you surveys, geotech-based, everything. So everything that you showed us, we have. So he'll send it all through this letter of justification. Soon, I hope.
He is doing a lot of work right now.
Really? He's got that.
Well, he's doing the Georgetown. He's working on Hogan development.
So he's so both too much.
Yeah. So but he's more so associated with the Georgetown conference because we are requesting accommodations for things that we are pursuing. So it's not a management company. We don't have a area. It doesn't align with our nexus requirements.
The comments in particular.
Yeah. Well, like that's just the development of like two of the buildings. Where you meet, you're making
Hey, good evening. My name is Joe Pat Covington. I'm County Judge Executive, and we'll call our work session to order. And just to share that the purpose of our work session is to take public comment about the draft interlocal agreement for the regional economic development project that's being considered. I'd like to also ask you during public comment to kind of keep your comments to around 4 minutes and try to focus those on the interlocal, the draft interlocal, and such. Before we get started, though, I'd like to ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. One other item that I'd like to ask as well is Magistrate Ryan Pratt's not with us tonight, and he is in South Florida in Fort Myers as we speak, deployed with his company who has a FEMA contract to supply emergency medical workers. They're essentially standing ready with ambulances and equipment. So Ryan is not with us, and I would like to ask you all to join me in a silent moment of prayer for his safety, but let's remember all of our friends that are down in that area, our fellow citizens, and then first responders that are going to be in harm's way. So let's pray that hurricane lessens and doesn't do as much damage as it possibly is being predicted to do. So if you join me, I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you all very much. So as we move forward, just to kind of circle back, we do have a couple guests with us. Ann Tyler, Morgan is on Zoom with us, and Michael George is with us. Michael's with Compass Municipal Advisors. Ann Tyler is with McBrayer, and they've worked on this project and helped with the interlocal agreement quite a bit. So thank you all for being here. With that said, on September 24th, we held a joint work session with the city, and that was an informational night just to share the draft interlocal and walk through it. We walked through it in pretty much a lot of detail that night, and we did not take public comment, but we had planned to take public comment as we are tonight at a future meeting. So that's why we're here. And just to summarize, I'll go over a summary that I have of what we're considering. A new regional economic development entity is being created in Central Kentucky through a cooperative effort between Lexington and Fayette, Urban County government, Madison and Scott counties, and the cities of Berea, Georgetown, and Richmond. These local governments have come together to promote economic growth in Central Kentucky and take advantage of a state economic development matching grant program that exists, in part to promote regional cooperation called the Kentucky Product Development Initiative. The partnership involves multiple local governments together and will work under one interlocal cooperation agreement, which is common and required by state statute when multiple jurisdictions pool resources to create a regional business park. The cooperation allows these governments to leverage capital and expertise to develop and manage the business park. The Central Kentucky Business Park Authority will be the newly created entity and will be named the Central Kentucky Business Park Authority and will be comprised of 6 members, 2 from each county, who will be appointed upon local agreement of the mayors and the county judge executive per state statute. The authority will operate independently but with powers granted by the participating governments to manage the business park efficiently. This is very common. There are dozens of these across the state. The authority will operate independently, but the powers granted by participating governments to manage the business park efficiently. The first business park being developed by the authority is planned to be located in Scott County, Kentucky, and will be named the Triple Crown Business Park. The purpose of the business park, the main goal of the business park is to attract new businesses, create jobs, and stimulate economic development in the region. The park will provide well-developed sites for businesses to establish operations, contributing to overall economic vitality of the involved communities. Funding and management. The project will be funded through a combination of local government contributions, state pooled Kentucky Product Development Initiative dollars and others, federal grants, and potentially other common financial instruments, bonding if necessary. The authority will manage the park's finances, including but not limited to developing infrastructure and marketing the park to potential businesses. The agreement sets forth a budgetary and reporting process to the parties and establishes a defined process for approving future projects with an emphasis on local control. Revenues would include ad valorem taxes, insurance premium taxes, occupational license fees or taxes, and net profit license fees or taxes, payments in lieu of taxes and land sales. The revenue sharing portion of this, the counties and cities participating in this agreement will share revenue distributions net of expenses based on their contribution into the authority as listed below. As the host community for the Triple Crown Business Park, Scott County and Georgetown will split the first 10% of net revenue distributions for the provision of community services such as fire, police, EMS, and other expenses incurred. And Scott County and Georgetown will share 16.67 each for a combined 33.3%. Madison County will share 16.67%. The City of Berea, 8.3%. City of Richmond, 8.3%. For combined Madison County, 33.3%. And in Fayette County, Lexington-Fayette County will share 33% as well. The thought process has been from the start that we'd be equal partners with all three counties combined with their revenue sharing. So the benefits that we truly believe is being able to bring more jobs to our community and do it in a physically responsible manner while tapping in and leveraging state and federal grant monies to help offset the cost for infrastructure. And it's a collaborative effort, and we believe that's the best way to go to attract and get property that will help us compete for new jobs. With that said, I will now open the floor for public comment. I would ask that you identify yourself and then try to keep it to 4 minutes if possible. Public comment.
Nobody wants to do it.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, everybody. I'm Erin Shue. I'm a constituent of Mr. Jones. I live at 108 Arrowhead Court, which is right off of Lloyd Road, which I'm sure will be familiar to everyone discussing this project. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to discuss our concerns once again. Appreciate it. When this plan was first announced, as you know, my concerns were primarily based around assurances on the type of businesses that would be my next door neighbor. I want to state that I feel pretty good about the assurances that have been provided up until this point and the intent of the current leadership. However, the interlocal agreement raises some more red flags for me as a potential neighbor of the development. The Park Authority, as mentioned, would be made up of representatives appointed by the judge executives and mayors of the participating entities. On this board, we would have 2 seats of the 6 representatives. Again, I believe that our current Scott County government and City of Georgetown and their representatives and appointees have heard us and understand our concerns and would keep the best interests of the local community at heart. However, we only have 2 seats at the table, and the appointees will change with further elections. I'd like to think that the vision that's currently set out will be maintained 10 or 16 years down the road, but in the current form, we have limited local control over that. As noted in the application, the anticipated completion date for the project is 2040. That's 4 judge executives or mayor's terms from today. I don't like that we're handing control of 500 acres right in the heart of our community to communities who ultimately will not be impacted by the choices that we're making. Additionally, the return on this exchange seems very poor from an outside perspective. We keep nodding to Lanes Run as the model. Lanes Run has reported 2024 occupational license tax revenue of $1.9 million. For the sake of illustration, let's round up to $2 million. If we're going to split that 6 ways, but sort of, we're going to split the excess of after the costs are covered. We take out 25% for the surplus fund, and that's a maximum of $1.75 million. Scott County gets 5% off the top, and the city gets the other half. So that's $87,500. And then 16% of the 90% remainder, which is $252,000. So the annual turn would be around $339,000, or about 1 bypass entrance to the new high school. That's the best case rounded up, without any costs above the surplus fund. That doesn't go very far in supplying the services that we keep talking about needing to fund. We keep hearing that it's not an option to do nothing, but why not? This development isn't going to pay for anything, clearly, and the comprehensive plan notes repeatedly that Scott County is thriving on all measured economic indicators. We hope that there will be KPDI funding. We hope that there will be grant monies. We hope that we can buy back the interior acres to create a park for the community. There are a lot of hopes and not a lot of hard numbers for this point in the process, and hope is not a business plan. Given the information that's been made available to this point, I feel as a member of the community that this is a bad deal for Scott County. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Hi there. I'm Dan Holman in Georgetown. Yeah, this is a bad deal for our local community, and this didn't. Basically, we're outsourcing our business park development in Georgetown. Our local government, our local community, our local elected leaders are not going to be involved. We're outsourcing it to another group, and this group that we've chosen is this group that has emerged. It's like it's a group of these 6 random counties, arbitrary counties throughout the region. Like Clark County is not involved, Franklin County is not involved, Woodford County is not involved, Bourbon County is not involved, Harrison County, right down the road from Lanes Run, is not involved because they weren't interested. They were apparently approached, and they just weren't interested at this time. So this emerged out of Berea and Madison County, primarily the Madison County judge, and I think the Berea mayor kind of got together early on, and then Joe Pack came in early on. And so this group just emerged, and then Jack was involved. This group emerged, presented itself, and it's proposing to us to outsource our business, our economic development to them. They're a very secretive group. They're a very manipulative group. They have no interest.
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Let's please not.
David.
I know, but that's
Yeah.
inappropriate because I'm not going to sit up here and talk about you because I have opinions about
feel
you,
free.
but I'm
Feel
not
free.
going to.
Feel free.
It's inappropriate.
Okay.
It's inappropriate in a public setting.
Well, from a public perspective, I think there's a lot of evidence to suggest these things. Well, they're manipulative because our comprehensive plan was being developed a year ago in May. Our comprehensive plan that we have to develop by statute had targeted this Wiles Farm as residential. We all went to the open house at the library last May. Wiles Farm is targeted residential. In July, this group suddenly targets, they want Wiles Farm for economic development. So that changes. What the comprehensive plan to date just changed. Behind the scenes, the community wasn't involved. They manipulated our comprehensive plan, David. I mean, I don't know. If that's like almost demonstrable. We can go over all the data, all the records. That it's hard for you to say they did not. You were on, I believe, the comprehensive plan.
I was not.
You were okay. Good.
But I was.
Okay,
and
exactly. So I don't want to argue.
And
with
we're
you.
not
I don't
getting
wanna
into
argue.
a back and forth debate. This is just public comment.
Right.
And you have the right to your opinion.
Right.
We have the right to agree to disagree respectfully, and that's what my intent is. So go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so I don't mean to attack anybody personally. Though I do believe that the comprehensive plan was manipulated. I mean, I don't, that's, a lot of people believe that. Madison County hired a political operative who's sitting over here paid with taxpayer money to influence commissioners' opinions, city councilors' opinion. There's records that show that is what this person was hired to do, to manipulate you all, to have an AI machine to monitor the internet.
Joe,
He's got a minute
No,
left.
That's fine. But,
Yeah, okay.
you know, the first was fine, respectful, presenting the facts, but.
Well, that's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact.
No, it's not. It's your opinion
No.
that they were trying to manipulate us.
Well, no, a political operative was hired by Madison County to influence our comprehensive planning process. That is a fact. Okay, I'll show you the stuff you. Okay, so anyway, okay, I didn't mean to be contentious about this.
You just have that
Yeah,
opinion. It's okay.
yeah, and you do as well a little bit, it appears. So this location was wrong from the beginning. It was arbitrarily, it happened to be for sale, and that's why they went for it. It's the wrong location, and the community has been saying that repeatedly, time after time and time again. Our comprehensive plan, our Parks and Rec data plan that we did that nobody's talked about, that has, I don't believe it's been presented here, it shows that we have hundreds of acres of deficit of parkland. Quasi-public space was not, okay.
30 seconds.
So it's a couple things that just get repeated over and over. The state wants us to do this. Well, that's just been said so many times. We're doing this because the state wants us to do this. Jeff Knoll, you all heard it at the library, debunked that. He said that is not what we want you to do. We want you to hear local voices. This is an option for you. You don't have to do it. Basically, so then related to the KPDI stuff, if we use our $2 million, every county only gets $2 million. So why we should spend our $2 million here?
And we spent 1.5,
Yeah.
and Dan, I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up.
Okay, yeah. So the KPDI thing, Madison County is bringing their $2 million here that they get from KPDI. They should keep it there, and they're just buying a business park they're buying the tax base. It's not helping us.
Thank you, Dan.
So next year there's a KPDI round three. Jeff Knoll said we should take a step back from this project. We have plenty of time to think what we want to do. This will all be available a year from now to do again.
Right.
Thank you. Very
Thank you.
much. I hope I didn't scare anybody off.
Hi, I'm Sarah Price, and we can talk finances. We can talk how this is being split up, how the pie is split up. I don't understand it. I don't understand how we can give up our county, our land, our resources, our police, our fire, and everything else to help benefit other counties, and it's not bringing that much benefit to us. But one of my other main concerns is just traffic. I have kids who go to Scott County High, a kid who goes to Scott County High, and this project would impact 8 of our schools. That's roughly 6,206 kiddos that are going to be impacted by semi-truck traffic and extra traffic out on McClellan Circle. That's over 62% of our kids. You're talking all the school buses having to go back from those schools to go back to central office where they all park. You're talking new drivers. You're talking all the preschool kids. Y'all need to take this into consideration. I mean, it's not just finances, it's people. And this is going to be a huge impact on our county. Thanks.
Hi, I'm
Hello.
Dwight Lewis. Yeah. I live on Lloyd Road, right across from the development. My major concern and point of confusion is with one of the highest growth rates in the state and one of the lowest unemployment rates in the state, why are we in such a hurry to stroke the fires of more growth? Because to me, it's a threat to quality of life in Scott County. I moved here because it's not Lexington. It's a good place to raise a family. I know other people that have moved here either to retire or to raise families because of quality of life. And I see unbridled growth as a real threat to that. We've got to be, in my opinion, very careful about what we do and how much control we have over our land. I mean, we talk about the need for jobs, but we got a really low unemployment rate. We talk about new graduates coming out of the high schools and what are we going to do with them? Well, I think we have to look at the turnover and attrition rate in our employment base. You know, we got most of the people I know that went to Toyota when they first came have since retired. And some of that second generation is retired. We got to look at what the net need for jobs is and not just the total number of graduates. I have 3 children. Only one remained in Scott County, and she works for a major manufacturing firm that is not located in Scott County and works from home. I know a number of people that work from home. So we need to be real careful about thinking we've got to have another major business, another piece of property developed before we once we do it, you can't really go back. And we don't need another Lexington. That's too much, you know. And then, you know, I agree with the others that are concerned about control, because you got a board of 6, I think, is a proposal. Only 2 are Scott County, so you get outvoted. It's your land, your property, your development, but you don't have control. You don't have enough say on the board to have control, so you've got outside influence controlling it, and the bulk of the revenue that should flow to the local government flows outside the county. I kind of agree with Aaron's calculation. When I looked at the 1,400 jobs and the payroll tax and the part that Scott County would get, it looked to me like, with just a quick back of the envelope calculation, that it was less than $350,000 a year net flow, and that's without counting the expenses of running the park. It's not a lot of revenue to the county. It's a lot of threat to us who live here, to quality of life. I think we need to look at quality of life issues and be careful as we move forward and and deliberately and not haphazardly. This one seems a bit haphazard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Polly Singer-Erdley. I'm a constituent of Mr. Jones. I live on Kelly Avenue. And this is probably about the 3rd or 4th meeting I've been at and spoke to. And I just want to really reiterate, I'm not going to say anything new, but what the fellow people in front of me have said. A lot of it, I think, is the control issue, that we only have 2 votes of 6. And from a business standpoint, that just does not make a lot of sense, being a business person myself. And also quality of life. I've lived in New York City for 13 years, moved back, lived in Lexington, and when I moved back to Georgetown, I was so happy. I was just thrilled to be back. I grew up here, grew up on Highland Avenue. My family's been here since the 1700s. But I just think, you know, at the end of the day, all we really have is our quality of life and our day-to-day, and just since I've been here, I've seen the traffic explode. And driving back from Lexington, sometimes you're doing 10 miles an hour on Lexington Road. So I would just really implore you to take what people are saying into consideration. I know you're in a very difficult position. I understand that. And also, I know I read somewhere somebody said not that many people have shown up. And actually, a lot have. But also, it is daunting to get up here and speak. And the people that have gotten up here and spoke, you really put yourself on the line. I've been on TV a lot. I've been a very public person, but it is difficult, and a lot of people are scared to do that. Not everybody is like us. So a lot of people in the community have voiced, you know, their concern to me, their feelings about it, and it's a difficult time, 5:30. I had to cancel my plans for tonight to be here, but I really appreciate everybody that spoke up, and I just ask you to take that into consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Katie Polly, and I'm from Northern Scott County. And some of you, I believe, were on the board and everything. I used to work at the Conservation District for soil and water quality. But also in Northern Scott County, we battled with them wanting to expand the dump. I don't know how many citizens remember they want to expand the dump so that literally the dump would be the highest building in Scott County. But I fought against that, especially because the land that they wanted to do that with was zoned agricultural land, and they were trying to make it heavy industrial land. I feel that still applies to what I'm hearing is happening in this experience. And with that, I don't have all the facts. So I'm hoping that maybe someone here tonight would be able to provide me with more of the facts about this operation. I understand that it's 500 acres that was at least originally zoned agricultural. I don't know if it has since been converted into a different, for the business park. What I'm wondering, though, is to be able to make an informed decision regarding the legislation and regarding this Triple Crown Business Park, that it's now being called, what is it that would be needed to be able to make that vote? With the Conservation District, I was part of the comprehensive plan, and a small portion of it, but it's a bigger beast at hand to plan that out, and I really question, that conservation plan is in place for a reason, and does this fall into those ethics and guidelines that were set up by the comprehensive plan with Scott County? And so with that, one member brought up that the members with the information at hand, that they would be the ones voting on this until 2040. Do you all plan to be on the board in 2040? I hope that maybe guidelines could be set up to direct this operation, whatever it may become, so that in 2040 there are guidelines if things go south or if they want to be redirected towards the betterment of Scott County and Georgetown. Is there a way to obtain the information, like what you all use to make your vote? Is there a way to obtain any information on this issue of what's being decided upon? Is that something that a citizen of Scott County could have access to?
It's all over the record.
Where would I find it?
You can request it through the judge's office.
Okay. And that would be Joe Pat Covington? Mm-hmm. All right, thank you.
My name is Grayson Price, and I love this county. The Georgetown and Scott County area is just so beautiful, and I cannot imagine paving over these rolling hills and, as you all have stated, or as the comprehensive plan has stated, historic properties just to build an industrial park that is frankly unnecessary, as seen by our low unemployment rates. Georgetown is so rich in history. I mean, think about it. Take 460 into downtown, and it's right there, historic Georgetown. And you're going to take away this property and all of these hills. Riding to school, taking the bypass, and seeing this beautiful nature, it's something that I frankly quite enjoy just every single morning getting there. It's calming, it's peaceful, and no kid like me or anyone younger is going to be able to experience that ever again if you take this away. It's just not necessary.
Would anyone else like to make public comment? If not, we will open it up for comment from the court.
My name is Lindsay Cruz, and we live on Sims Pike. We are a farming family. We run cattle. We've got 2 young boys. And I just ask, and I do appreciate the time that you guys have taken to talk with me. I know I've talked to you guys a couple times. But this is going too fast. And I do have a question, a follow-up question, because when we all met at the extension office, it was voted on by the public that they wanted an agricultural committee because we need to save the agriculture in Scott County. And when I inquired about that, you had said because Joe Kane was gone, we were going to take a break, let somebody get in place, let them get their feet wet, and then you would create that committee. So my question would be, if we're going to slow down on that, which is what the community was asking for, why is this going through full steam ahead? And has there been any, update on that?
So let me introduce Holden. He's Holden, if you'd stand up. This is our new planning and zoning director.
Okay.
And Holden and I had a phone call, and we have scheduled a meeting on Monday, to discuss putting that committee back, in play and moving forward. So
okay, perfect.
he just came on October 1st.
Okay.
And felt like it was very appropriate to get him settled in and then to move forward with that.
Okay.
So it's 100% moving forward.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
I will say a couple other concerns that we have is, Lanes Run as a benchmark, not the best benchmark in our opinion. We live over near Lanes Run, and it's not full, and it's 20 years old. Traffic is a mess here in Georgetown. And we have some kiddos, and we want to see them be able to have the opportunity to possibly farm if that's what they want to do. But once you pour concrete, it's gone. And I don't see us as a community protecting our agricultural assets like we should. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Jill Oliphant. I'm an equine veterinarian. I drive these roads regularly. I lived on Elkwood Farm for about 5 years over the last 10 years, so I know the property really well. And its history, everything that goes along with it, the beauty of the Elkhorn. I was there when the bypass was put in, and I agree with this kid. It's a beautiful area that shouldn't be paved over. It has historical value. Those houses were built with the fieldstone from that property pulled out of the ground. It has an immense amount of history, borders the Elkhorn. It just has basically the essence of Georgetown. I also drive those roads regularly. I have kids in school. I know how many accidents are by the bypass. I know how many accidents are on the roads around Long Lake Pike, all the things that are supposedly not going to have traffic on them from heavy trucking. But we all know the traffic's going to increase. Most of the schools that my kids are going to go to, high school, middle school, grade school, are along those routes where traffic is going to be picked up if there's an industrial park. I'm fine if there needs to be an industrial park added to Georgetown, but it doesn't need to be on that property. There's too much historic value, and it just adds too much beauty to our area.
If no one else, comments from magistrates?
I'll make a comment. I appreciate everyone coming tonight and making your comments, and rest assured that we do take all the comments seriously. And like a lot of you guys, I've lived here my whole life and love the community and love what Scott County is. So thank you all for coming and talking.
I'll follow that up with what Kelly said. I've been here all my life. I'll be 59 next month. I've been here ever since I was born. When Toyota came, I hated it. I thought the world was coming to an end because Georgetown was going to change so much. And it has. We all know it has. I would say most of you folks may have moved in here because of Toyota or one of the businesses associated with Toyota. But Toyota's been a good thing for this community. Be the first one to admit. Been a good thing. It's helped me. I've created businesses and done well. So I feel like we've got to give the kids that are coming up in these schools an advantage to learn a trade, have a place to go to work, to make a decent wage, instead of having to travel to Fayette County. I remember somebody said, we got to travel to Fayette County. The roads are horrible. I go to Fayette County almost every day. Roads are horrible. But if we keep them here, wouldn't that be better instead of traveling to Fayette County? Also, I've heard we don't want it paved. Would you want houses there? The farm is going to be developed one way or another. It's on the bypass. It's going to be developed one way or another. What's the best? I'm asking these questions. We're here to ask questions, so that's one of my questions. What would you guys prefer, houses or a business park? Those folks are not going to make it a park. They're going to sell it to the highest bidder.
The county has the option to buy it. Like you.
Yes, the county does have an option.
To buy this land.
Yes.
And do what
I don't have that option, trust me. I ain't made that much money. I don't have that option.
You do have the option.
Golly.
You just have to write a check.
Yeah. So I got plenty of checks, just don't have the money.
You can buy it if you want. 10 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's doable.
So,
It's an investment.
Rob, anything else?
No, that's all I.
And minimizing the potential for disaster, especially with chemicals and such, like whatever the site is for, having it properly, you know, if flooding does come in, I just.
Ma'am.
Just be
Just-
smart.
Well, I'll comment to some of that here in just a second. Anyone else down here?
Yeah, I typically don't get upset unless I'm accused of impropriety or not being transparent or something like that, because since I've been sitting on fiscal court, I have taken a lot of phone calls, met with a lot of constituents that especially like you were talking with the landfill. I mean, Ricky and I, you know, it's not in my district. It doesn't affect the constituents that I represent, but I think when I sit up here, I represent all of Scott County as well, not just the first district. And so, you know, during the landfill debate and everything that was going on, Ricky and I would meet with constituents at the library to discuss it. And if you lived in the city, it didn't affect you, but it did affect you because that's where our trash was going as a city, and it was a lot cheaper and it worked a lot better. But that group wanted the landfill shut down, and things that were happening caused the landfill to be shut down because they weren't a good corporate partner. But my best way to typically say things is to write out my thoughts. And so I sat here and took about a minute and wrote out some things, and I just wanted to read them to you all while you're here tonight. I've served Scott County for several terms, always looking to the best interest of my neighbors. And that's what you all are. You're not my constituents, you're my neighbors. I mean, that's the way it is. We are Scott Countyans, and you're my neighbors, whether we like each other or not. We're neighbors. My wife's been at Western Elementary for nearly 25 years. And so some of you may know Mrs. Livingston if you had kids go through Western Elementary. She's an assistant principal there now. I have 3 daughters that we raised in Bradford Place. Our 2 homes, we've been in Bradford Place the whole time. And they went to Scott County schools. I have been wrong as a magistrate, been wrong as a dad. I'm wrong a lot as a husband. If you just ask her, she'll tell you I am. But when I'm wrong, I will tell you I'm wrong. And I will tell you I'm sorry. And I will do everything I can to make it correct. I'll be the first to say that. I listen intently and thoughtfully and want you, my neighbors, to engage with me, because I can't make a vote or a good vote without your input and without you telling me facts that I may not know. I'm only as smart as the information I get brought in and told to me. I want to thank those of you who have expressed your opinions and facts with respect. And without respectful dialogue, we accomplish nothing, and it all becomes noise. This is not Frankfurt, and this is not Washington, D.C. We see you in the grocery, in the restaurants, and in the church, and we don't and can't hide from our neighbors. So I appreciate you all. I hear you. I understand what you're saying. And I can say that we're all respectfully listening and absorbing everything that you all are saying tonight.
Mr. Wallace.
Judges, I was sitting here thinking about my tenure as an elected official. I think Mike and Jack and I have been around for a long time, started out with the Smart Park, and I know Jack and Mike remember that. Smart Park was a business park that was to expand some existing businesses. And that filled up. And then we went to Lanes Run Business Park. And one of the things I think, Judge, that we need to keep in focus is that there was an intentional desire that we have non-automotive jobs. We have to get away from the dependency of Toyota. Simple. But with the thought that if something ever happened that Toyota left, downsized, that our community as a whole would be in a bad situation. And so that was our intent with the business park, and it has been successful. And I think that's what our intent is with this. And so I think keeping the focus on trying to diversify our jobs and to bring in other non-automotive positions so that we can balance out a little bit more of our income stream. That's something that is important too. And I think that might have been lost in some of these issues, but that's kind of the intent of both those business parks and maybe this one in the future.
Thank you. Mr. Hostetter?
Judge, first of all, I want to thank you for going ahead and calling this together, because for me personally, I think everybody agrees with what I'm getting ready to say, because they've really already expressed it. It is very important for me, and some of them already said it, to hear from you guys. I do go back to the landfill issue, and I would say there's a handful, maybe two handfuls of issues on my time on the court that I've had the privilege to sit in this seat that have kept me awake at nights. And the landfill was the first one. This is one of them. It's a big deal. It is to me. I think it is to everybody on this court. And it's obvious it is to the citizenry. And so hearing from you guys, and I will just tell you, every time I come and sit in this seat, I am wide open. I did it with the landfill, which was a huge issue. Many meetings, sometimes one-on-one, sometimes 10 or 15 people, sometimes 100, and sometimes an auditorium full that most all of us participated who were on the court back then. And so it's very beneficial, but tonight, I'm still wide open. This has been very good for me. I've got a lot to think about in the next 2-3 days till Friday, 2 days. Because I have not settled in my own heart how I'm going to vote. I'll just be honest with you. But I'm like that on every issue, and this is one of those issues why I've actually kind of woke up at night thinking about it, because it's important. It's a big deal. So I appreciate you guys coming, and somebody said, maybe a couple of you did, you had other plans. And I appreciate the fact that you as a citizen would think that much, that you would set aside your plans and show up here tonight. It says a lot. It says a lot of how important it is to them. And somebody also said that, a lot of people would come, but they're afraid to. And I get that as well. I'm kind of still afraid to yak right now myself. So, but anyhow, thanks. And again, a lot to consider. I appreciate all that I've heard.
Mr. Ellison.
I guess the main thing that keeps rattling around in my brain as I deal with all the issues that usually are brought up, especially with the school system, is that property, one way or the other, is going to develop. And for me to deal with it the way I have to deal with it, I would prefer it to be, at this point, businesses over a long period of time, slowly developing just like a current business park that we have, versus 1,000 to 1,500 homes that pop up overnight that have done that to me multiple times in multiple neighborhoods, and I can't build schools fast enough. So that's something that just sticks with me right now, as far as I don't know that I have a choice whether or not it's going to develop or not. But maybe, the griping that I did at some of the other neighborhoods that popped up as fast as they did and as quick as they did and how they did. Maybe we can slow, in some ways, the growth down. I know that's a big issue, but the growth is going to happen on the bypass. It just is. That's why bypasses are built, and that ship has sailed. So I this is where we're at. How can we slowly, and in a lot of ways, control it to a degree to where we can, if you throw that many homes up there, you're going to have worse traffic than you can imagine. And we know that, but I don't know. We don't have crystal balls of what it's going to look like and how quickly a business will come in or not. So I don't know.
I'm kind of glad you asked that question because I know several of them asked it, is the control part. How much control will we have over how fast it grows? And with the board, when we set it up, like they said,
So I wanted to speak. If no one else has any comments, I'll speak to some of the themes of your concerns tonight. And we'll go back to the origin of this. The KPDI started as a grant program, and I can show you right on their website where it encourages regional applications. It says it on their website, and I've heard it multiple times. Secretary Noel was here that night. Secretary Noel did make some comments about it didn't have to be regional. I don't remember his exact comments, but I can assure you that right on their website it encourages, and I've shared that with the court and I've shared that with others. So the KPDI is an opportunity for us to leverage funds from the state to try to promote economic development. And the regional approach by working collaboratively with our potential partners, we're going to be able to leverage more money and more effort, and I believe in receiving and applying for state and federal monies that will help offset the cost for the potential park. And that's where this started. And looking at the big picture of our community, we are a growing community. We're not going to stop growing. And with the number of graduates we're going to have in the next 5 years, 6 years, y'all have heard me say that time and time again. I just can't get away from that. And yes, we need to diversify if we can, but there is no business waiting in the wings to jump in here. There's no, what we're doing is creating our ability to compete for business and new jobs. That's what we're doing. And I've met with site selectors from across the United States and been in webinars and listened. If you don't have property that's near shovel ready, you're not going to compete. And that keeps coming up as a theme to me. Lanes Run, it is nearing, like we just were funded $1.5 million plus the $1.5 in KPDI funds to finish out phase 3, 72 acres. In phases 1 and 2, there's about 60 some usable acres, and we're about to work on 3 pad-ready sites that Jack's working on. But we can't wait till it's gone to have an opportunity like what we have. So with the opportunity of the KPDI, we started looking, and this property is 500 acres together, one owner. It had a lot of infrastructure nearby. That's how we got to the property. And, I truly believe what we're proposing that's in the future land use designation as BP1. And when I met with Erin first time back in June, that was her big concern. Assurances that it's not going to be heavy industrial. I don't want an aluminum smelter or a refinery or steel mill. Somebody at one time threw out nuclear power plant. Like, that's not what we're proposing, and we have tried to be very sensitive to the community by looking at that BP1 designation. And the Lanes Run model fits into that BP1 designation. And, we hope that we could, from the estimates that have been shared, we hope that we can put approximately 1,400 jobs there. And that would create a lot of revenue. And there's direct benefit and there's indirect benefit. And, you can't get away from that. And if the average salary is between $65,000 and $70,000, and you have 1,400 jobs, that's about $100 million going into our regional economy. And we are a regional economy. And it's important to have opportunities for our people. So that's where we're at there. And then back to the control. Yes, there's 6 people on this proposed board, 2 from Scott County, 2 from Fayette County, and 2 from Madison. But our ultimate control, in my opinion, is our planning and zoning commission and our zoning designation of that property. And that's the ultimate piece of control, in my opinion, that will protect us from having businesses there that don't fit that BP1 model. So I'm confident in our planning commission that they'll be good good stewards and follow what's laid out there in that zoning ordinance. The traffic. You go out to Lanes Run, and I have gone on purpose to Lanes Run to try to catch heavy traffic coming and going. Businesses and companies don't go to work at 8:30 and they don't let out at 4:30. That's just not. So the flow of traffic can be navigated. And I will say, if there were 1,200 homes, 1,300 homes, the number that's been shared with me is like per car 2.9 trips per day or more, and you're going to have 2 or 3 cars at those houses. So the traffic from a residential community with 1,300 homes is going to, in my humble opinion, will be more negative impact than a business park traffic. So these are some of the themes. The landfill was mentioned. This court, I'm very proud of the work that this court has done and the record that we have. And we addressed a very bad environmental issue in our community. We had to work through the process, but we went above and beyond to do what was right, and very proud of that. There's no there's no crystal ball on this project, but I do believe that we have control with our planning commission and the zoning designation, and we're not going to hop up and look and have 1,400 jobs in a year. It takes time. That's just the nature of this. So that's some of the themes that you all mentioned tonight, and I appreciate, please know I love Georgetown, Scott County, just like you all do, and we want the best, and sometimes we have to agree to disagree respectfully, but I'm always going to listen, and please know our door is always open. But I appreciate you being here. It's important to me that you know that, and we show up every day to work for you. We serve our community, and what we do is the most important thing we do is provide services to our community, and that's why we're here. So just to give you our timeline, on Friday, I'm going to ask the court to consider a resolution to approve the interlocal agreement. That'll be on Friday. The other entities that are our partners are doing the same in the coming few weeks, and then once those are all passed, if that's what happens, then it's sent to DLG, the Department of Local Government, and then on to what's called KEDFA for a final approval for the funding of the KPDI grant. So that's that's the timeline. And I appreciate you all being here. If there's no other comments from the court, then we'll adjourn our meeting. Thank you all. Don't really need one.
I'll make it.